Trails Collective, what's going on? Ian here for the weekly rundown for September 16th, 2020. Good weekend. Felt good to be back out at the races. Definitely stress, fatigue going into them, putting on the events, but definitely stoked to have gotten through a beautiful weekend. In the year of COVID, still got to wait a week or two to be sure there's no new cases attributed to our events. That is an ongoing stress and unfortunate reality at the moment, but the reality at the moment. So hopefully that all happens. Hopefully we're clear and we can really celebrate just a wonderful weekend out there for many of us together. As I mentioned earlier in some of the weekly rundown run-ups this past weekend, several really cool races were going down. So it was great to have a little bit of taste of that again. So let's get into it. It was busy, so we'll have a lot on deck here. And I'm stoked also this week to have some weighing in from the collective proper. From myself, just weighing in on my own events. A couple other RDs will weigh in, and then an individual who took home their first 100K win this past weekend as well. And maybe one other if he's able to get it in time. So let's just dig in. So the results this past weekend. One that I had mentioned earlier, maybe months ago in the rundown that had pushed back for a date, but I had missed it the past couple weeks leading into it, was the Damn Yeti 50-50 in Damascus, Virginia. They pushed back from June. They had 37 finishers in the 50 mile with Jason Locke taking the overall win and course record in 5:22. And Danielle Lumen in 8:47 for the 8th fastest women's time. No results yet listed for the 50K that I saw. The Water Gap Trail Runs were, again, as I mentioned, a Red Newt event. That's one that I've put on maybe 6 or 7 years down in Delaware Water Gap. Really beautiful course. Has a rolling, what feels like a rail trail, though it's not a rail trail, along the Delaware River through the gap. Some rolling trains, some single track in the middle. No big climbs, but enough to keep your legs somewhat fresh. And it's one that I hope can really grow. A friend, Vinny Capadora from Happily Running, RD'd the event this year, and we'll let him weigh in just a second.
Hey folks, Vinny here. My wife Nicole and I run a company called Happily Running, where we put on a couple of our own races, but also sell some t-shirts as well as do a bunch of timing. This weekend, I was fortunate enough to be able to go help out down at Water Gap for Red Newt racing. We were treated with a beautiful day. The sky was absolutely gorgeous. The trail was in perfect condition. Honestly, as much as you hear it at any single race, really could not have asked for much of a better day. It was beautiful, slight overcast, so you were able to really get out there and push. Had some really great experiences. Finished being able to dip in the river, and had some great runners out there. It was pretty fantastic. Some notable mentions: we had Lauren Wagner win the 25K. It was pretty amazing with a time of 2:42. Came in smiling and enjoying, and just hung out for a little while afterward. The 50K gal who won was Carly Sedlock with a time of 4:32. So she was doing pretty well as well, doing pretty fantastic. In the male category, we had some pretty cool things happening. So one of the benefits, well, not benefit, but I guess one of the drawbacks, or however you want to look at it, to the whole COVID mitigation and being able to still have events during COVID, one of the things that's working well is being able to have that staggered start. So those staggered starts allow for you to be able to really run your own race, maybe not push somebody, maybe push somebody. I guess it kind of depends on how you look at it. But in both distances, so starting with the 25K, the overall winner was Yuval Zaria with a time of 1:56, but we had a gentleman named Alex Kelly roll in probably about 40 minutes late, maybe a little later than that. So we had quite a bit of a later start in the day, but he ended up rolling in with second place at 1:58:30. So it was something that we had to go back to some of the timing stuff to take a look at and just see exactly how close they were. And then even closer for the 50K, we had Dan Cummings overall come in first with a time of 4:15:20. And while entering our times that we put into the hand, we noticed that both Dan Cummings and Alan York both finished with a time of 4:15. So we went to the timing equipment that we had set up there and found out that Alan York had an elapsed time of 18 seconds faster than Dan Cummings. So even though Alan York started about 25-30 minutes later in the day than Dan Cummings, he still finished about 18 seconds faster. So it's pretty wild. And pretty neat, and something that I guess, like I said, you can either take it or leave it or think, one is better than the other. At the end of the day, though, I think that everybody, including myself, is happy just to be out there right now. Big thanks to Red Newt Racing and all the volunteers that came out to be able to put this event on. The parks as well was fantastic, letting us have it. I think that's really the big takeaway from the day, is that races can be done. They can be done safe. They can be done fun, and everybody can be out there having a good time. So hopefully I'll see you out on the trails. Thanks. Bye.
So the other one that I put on was the Breakneck Point Trail Runs in Beacon, New York. And so the elevation gain, I think, for the marathon this year was maybe 8,500 feet, give or take. Elevation gain for the half marathon was maybe 4,500 feet, somewhere in there. So pretty burly courses, but beautiful. And to me, it's just like play. I'm typically not one who loves technical courses. I hate kicking rocks, particularly late in the race. It just really gets me frustrated. So I'm more of a running course individual, but I love putting on and creating really tough courses. And some of the sections, which are those climbing and boulder hopping and whatever, I think is just a blast, and some really good views. So it all came together. We had a really beautiful weekend, pretty perfect weather for it. The course markers that were out there, the volunteers did an incredible job. So we were really stoked and thankful. So the courses, as I mentioned, or maybe didn't mention, have been tweaked a little bit year over year. I think we're going to stick with this one. It seemed to flow pretty well. The winners of both events just hammered. In the half marathon, Aaron Newell was an individual that I met up in pacing Sarah Kai's, or muling for Sarah Kai's, as she went after the Adirondack 46. Aaron is an incredible athlete, more OCR focused at the moment, and was, I think, looking toward a national, if not world title in OCR, I think was his focus. But just wicked fit, wicked tough. So he jumped in the half fairly late in the game. I think 3 of the top 4 seeded men in the race dropped last minute. So Aaron was solo out there. He took the win in 2:09, was just flying to establish a new course record. I think 6 minutes under Matt Lipsey's prior course record. And the course is a little bit different, a little bit more climb this year, but a little bit shorter. So somewhat of a trade-off in attributes there. Kirby Mosenthal took it for the women in 3:03. For the marathon, the Ithaca's newly Ithaca transplant for Cornell grad student David Hedges just looks smooth. In the couple times I saw him all day, he took it in 4:35, also bringing down to establish a new course record in the process, lowering Liam and Steve's marks from last year. And Steph Bishop, 3rd overall and first female in 5:17, and closing in on the second male. she, as well as second place finisher Lauren Longfeld, both ran under Care Davis's prior course record there. So congrats to all those out there. In addition to the wins, just completing that course is a feat really in and of itself. We also had out there a pretty close call moment. I had some emergency calls come in from the park manager notifying me of an injured runner out on course. An ambulance was being summoned for. And this really just brought home in the moment just how risky this can be, and also how lucky we can be at the same time. So tough as nails, half marathon entrant caught a rock, went down hard, impaled by a stick, punctured right through his chest. He made the decision to pull it out in the moment, started bleeding. He called his wife. Wife called an ambulance, was going to be waiting for him, and he walked it out, I think like a mile or two bleeding to the ambulance, caught it, and was treated accordingly at the hospital. Going to plug a pretty raw photo here in the back of the puncture wound when he got down to the aid station with some, I think, the blood mopped up. Thankfully, it just missed his lung, but it's also, looking at it, is just the reality that had that been on the left side of his chest versus the right, probably would have punctured into the heart and it would have been game over. So tough, but also incredibly lucky at the same time. And to you, wicked tough, and hopefully back in the mix for next year. So, but great weekend out there at Breakneck Point. Let's see, Rockin' the Knob trail races in Blue Knob, Claysburg, PA. As we've commented in prior, billed themselves as PA's highest trail race and the most challenging 10K in PA. They also run a half marathon and a marathon. And the results weren't posted yet to Ultra Sign Up as of filming. But even better, weighing in also from the collective than me reading it is RD, Ben Mazur himself. So take it, Ben.
Thanks, Ian. Allegheny Trail Runner's 9th annual Rock in the Knob Trail Challenge did not disappoint. Despite reducing the number of participants by a third due to restrictions on the size of outdoor events, this year's runners were greeted with a dry course and nearly perfect running conditions, with temperatures in the upper 50s until overcast conditions became foggy at elevations above 2,500 feet. Rock in the Knob Trail Challenge offers 3 distances, a 10K, a half marathon, and a mountain marathon on top Blue Knob Mountain, the northernmost 3,000-foot peak in the Alleghenies. We bill it as the toughest 10K in Pennsylvania based on overall finishing times, with nearly 1,500 feet of climbing, and all of it in the last 3 miles. Regional powerhouse Gabriel Rodriguez from near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, dominated the course, finishing 5 minutes ahead of the second place runner at 53 minutes and 5 seconds. Katie O'Regan was 4th overall and was the first female finisher at 1 hour 15 seconds. Over to the half marathon, local runners took the top spots, with August Anderson from Portage, Pennsylvania, with 2 hours and 13 minutes as the first male, and first female was Stephanie Daniels from Boswell, Pennsylvania, at 2 hours 39 minutes. Also of significance, Lee Strapello, a dominant runner here in Pennsylvania's trail running community and leader at mile 2.3, was sent off course by spectator. After taking 27 minutes to return to where he was led astray, Strapello was in 62nd place, but then overcame almost the entire field to finish 2nd overall and just 20 minutes behind the first place runner. Our half-course marathon features over 3,000 feet of elevation climb. Over to the mountain marathon at Rock on the Knob, we bill it as one of the toughest marathons at that distance in the Mid-Atlantic region, with nearly 6,000 feet of climbing. After trying for 4 years, Dean Banco finally earned his first place victory with a commanding performance of 4 hours and 11 minutes and 10 minutes ahead of second place. Casey Columbus from Stallstown, Pennsylvania, was the winner of the overall female at 6 hours and 2 minutes. That's it for Rock on the Knob. Now, if tough races are your jam and you have this sadistic streak in you, and the tougher the course, the better, well, check out the Black Forest Ultra 100K on October 4th. Midnight start, no crew, minimal aid stations, and over 28,600 feet of elevation change. Check it out at blackforestultra.com.
Another one that went down was the Pine Creek Challenge in Wellsboro, PA. Of the distances, and this is one that follows the Pine Creek in the Grand Canyon of PA. Really spectacular gorge. The trails that circuit up and over the big climbs and over the ridges, absolutely just spectacular. This one is a rail trail, hard packed cinder, and just really scenic event that does out and back configurations down on the Pine Creek gorge and trail. So of the distances, of 24 finishers, the marathon wins went to Sean Bubani in 2:59. He established a new men's course record, and Sandra Hogg in 4:01. In the 50-mile, 36 finishers with wins to Jason Lamb in 8:05 and Melissa Lynn in 8:32. And in the 100K, they had 19 finishers with Mario Zuniga and Deb Dezernenko in 9:22 and 11:03 respectively. And in the big one, 54 finishers in the 100-mile with wins going to Padraig Mullins and Jessica Grinspan in 16:40 and 19:06 respectively. So nice work, Pine Creek crew. The Boulderfield 100 in Jim Thorpe, PA. 3 events woven in. The Kitty Run, 18-miler, pulled in 78 finishers with Vladislav Los and Michaela Rubenstein taking the top 2 spots, and men's and women's wins. For the 50K, 95 finishers crossed with Robert Kehoe and Jill Roper taking the wins. And for the Mac Daddy of the day, the 100K, Jeff Alpert and Laura Moore took the overall wins. We connected with Laura for a snapshot of the experience for her, and we'll plug it here. And thanks so much again for being a voice from the collective. So take it, Laura.
Hi, this is Laura Moore. I ran Boulderfield 100K this weekend. Before I really get into things, I would like to say thank you to Eric Kosick for being a great coach and helping to pace me through those last 18 miles. I literally counted down every single mile until about mile 42 when I got to see his crazy, beautiful face. Could not wait to see him. I also want to say thanks to the RD for putting on a great race. Can't thank him enough. Everything ran very smooth, have no complaints. The volunteers were also super fantastic. Can't thank them enough either. Boulderfield, like I said, my very first 100K. I did not expect to win it. I just wanted to go out and run a race and hopefully do well. Turns out I would win it. Did not expect that. I still can't fully wrap my head around it. I just, in the morning, took off, felt pretty crappy up until about mile 12. Then the second woman passed me for a while and I just kind of let her do her thing. I started to feel better after the Boulderfield, mile 22, and I took off, and I just wanted to put as much distance in between her and I as I could. And I felt pretty good until about mile 55 when everything just hurt and I wanted to stop. And thanks to Eric, every little flat we got to, he'd be behind me going, if it were me, I'd be running this. So therefore I had to run things. And yeah, I'm just happy I ran a race and I won it. And basically my big goal was, in the end, to show my son Jameson, who was just being crazy in the background, that you put hard work into things and good things pay off in the end. And I, hope at the finish line he saw that. Me crying hysterically hopefully didn't scare him away from things. But yeah, that's it.
So some others that went down, the Mahoosic Ridge to River Challenge in Bethel, Maine. This is one that I've mentioned as one that's really on my radar to do in a future year. Definitely sounds like an amazing, beautiful course. 17 marathon finishers with Jennifer Keaton and Sam Holt taking the wins. 54 in the half marathon with Sam Lanternier and Steph Nichols taking the wins. And in the 10K of 42 finishers, Katie Crooker and Jacob Boone were the first across. So nice work. In the Tungus Trail Marathon, also a really cool sounding course. This benefited the Burlington Land Trust. There are 12 finishers in the 8K with Erica Chaka taking the overall win in 53:26. And Eric, that was. And Maria racers in the women's field in 105. In the 30K, 15 finishers with Kevin Lamias taking some tough names tonight. Taking the overall in 343, and Anna Proxek for the women's field in 450. And topping out in the 60K, there were 4 finishers with Matt Toney and Elizabeth Allen taking the overall wins there. Nice work all. In the Breaks Ultramarathon, also one that I'd mentioned prior, sounds like a really cool, just burly course. It's a 45-mile trail run in Breaks, Virginia. They had 68 finishers. Radu Dekonu took the overall win in 10:20, and the second fastest on the course historically. And Amy McIntyre for the women in 11:06, also the second fastest women's time on that course. And we had a good clip that we're playing in the background here of Leanne Hood and Mike Hill of Ohio, both coming in 15:57, just a bit under the 16-hour cutoff. And that's for sure, as they mentioned where I pulled this clip from, a really beautiful part of Ultra. So in the years that, well, in a lot of my events, those that are coming in under the wire, it's always just as exciting to see them come through as it is the leaders. In these weekly rundowns, I'm almost always just plugging the leaders, but know that as an RD out there and a fan of the sport and of the community, when it comes to it in those contexts, I love just as much seeing the final finishers come in. It's pretty awesome. The years putting on the Virgil Crest Ultras and the Virgil Crest 100, we had a 36-hour cutoff, and seeing runners come across that final loop around the lake, and you had that, and voice carries across the lake where you basically yell, but it sounds like you're standing right there. The excitement, the energy you can feel for them coming in, trying to make it in just underneath the cutoff. Some of the most memorable experiences that I have for event directing and being out there. So for all of you out there who are not the wins, don't get the wins, aren't your names in here that I'm listing, just know that for me personally, even though this is the format, you are all incredible. And seeing you come in and achieve what you do, in some cases being out there as long as you are, being in some cases twice the amount of time on your feet as the wussy leaders who get in much quicker, it's really amazing. So kudos and congrats to all of you who get the finishes on these big events. So let's see. Macedonia Trail Race in Kent, Connecticut. This was one day after. It was on Sunday. I was intending to go and find a place to camp the night before, but it was just pretty cooked following Breakneck, and content just to chill with my co-RD Ben and my oldest daughter Mary. Post-race, getting some ice cream, getting some food, and just unwinding a bit. So we drove out Sunday morning, and really pretty drive into Connecticut. Really historic area. Some old homes, winding roads, stone walls, and driving through the community of Kent through to Macedonia State Park. And knew that Brian Vanderheiden and the crew at Steep Endurance choose and put on some really cool events and really beautiful places on challenging courses as well.
It's good.
And it definitely didn't let down. So it was a 12K loop. They had 3 distances running, 12K, 25K, 50K. And where I initially signed
and a grand
up, my
Alex
plan
Honnold
was to just go out there and capture some video. And I did just that while we were out there, use an opportunity to video, and I'll put together a recap video for Brian and the crew here, hopefully in the next couple weeks. But I was also planning on
you still look good.
Running hard on my own. But my oldest daughter was pretty stoked to come out as well, and so I made the decision. So thankfully and so appreciative of the time that she was
That's right.
up for.
The fun that just
doing
keeps
the event
on
as
giving.
well. So this was, she's done some events in the past. She's done the Whiteface Marshax Mountain Race and a couple other smaller cross-country runs, but this was for sure her longest at 7.5 miles or 12K, and we just had a blast. The course is really just beautiful.
Beautiful.
Ebbs and flows, has a couple really fun climbs, including a steep signature boulder or kind of rock face scramble.
Nice.
With about a mile or
stand with me
so
over here?
on and off of the ridge afterward. Really spectacular course. It really just flows. A good one for beginners looking for a challenge that's maybe a little bit out of their comfort zone, or a seasoned vet to go just hammer. I would love, even in my my old manness here to go out there and try to throw down on that course and see what could be done. I think I'd have a blast. So for all those looking for a great opportunity, a great course in the Northeast, if Macedonia trail races aren't on your radar, put them on your radar. A lot of fun. So how that all went down, let's see, some of the finishers in the 12K wins went to Mitch Morris and Sarah Jane O'Connor. 25K saw some solid races with the top two men, Brendan Atkins and Benjamin Herron. These were two individuals that I trailed on to post-race or during the races they were coming through, and got to run with them for just a minute or two just to grab some video images or clips, and they were just hammering, and it was cool to see. Brendan came through first, and he was definitely working. And then Benjamin came through sometime later and just seemed a lot more efficient. They had a greater separation when I saw them, but finished just a minute apart. And so I'm assuming that Ben continued to really close the gap in that second loop. It would have been cool to, I think, see that finish or see that going down on maybe like a segment radar, seeing him close in. So good job to both of you. The women's race was equally as tight, with Brittany Telke finishing less than a minute behind runner-up Sherry, or a minute ahead of runner-up Sherry Odell. So nice work to both of you as well. All four of these individuals were underneath the prior course record, so that's pretty awesome. And for the ultra on the day, the 50K titles went to Jim Herron in 6:31 and Robin Bradica in 7:19. On the FKT front, in Connecticut, Richie Rodgriguez, 13 hours, 8 minutes for the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail. It's a 54.5-mile paved trail from Yale to the Mass border. This was an opening mark for the one-way format, but appears not too far off of the pace set by the Cultura Trail and Ultra podcast crew from just this August of this past year, who took it in out and back format. Grace Long, 1 hour, 55 minutes for the unsupported baseline on the out and back of the 12-kilometer Iron Trail, which has been seeing some FKT action this year. In Massachusetts, Brian Butterfield, 4 hours, 27 minutes for the Boroughs Loop, which is a 32-mile circuit with 2,800 feet of gain. And according to the map here, appears to be roughly a thumb's width west of Walmart, in case anybody wants to go try to track that loop down. In New York, Jake Stookey and Bill Hoffman, 15 hours, 51 minutes for the Saranac Ultra Sixer Challenge. This is a pretty cool circuit for any of you who want a fun challenge to tackle on your own, even outside of an FKT. Check it out on the FKT site, the Saranac Ultra Sixer Challenge. They did it in a more purist fashion as well by opting for the duathlon version, which just implied that they were cycling between the different legs. So nice work in that duathlon baseline mark. In Virginia, Mike Wardian getting back after it, 1 hour and 57 minutes for the Arlington Loop in unsupported fashion. That shaved 9 minutes off of the prior mark, and 8 of altogether in that category in terms of unsupported, and 8 minutes off his prior supported mark for the route from May of this year. So I guess he's just faster solo. So nice work. Let's see. Danny Mathieson, 7 hours, 54 minutes for the Catawba Triple Crown. Looks like a beautiful section of the AT and North Mountain Trails. 54-kilometer loop with 8,800 feet of gain. Pretty stout. And then probably the biggest FKT in terms of, well, I guess they're all big efforts, but this was a beast. Witt El Matador Wisebram. 1 day, 5 hours, 37 minutes for the Shenandoah section of the Appalachian Trail. This is just a monster of a section. Covers 110 miles with 31,500 feet of elevation gain. And he took the Matador here, took the bull by the horns, and he threw it down in unsupported fashion. So Witt, that is a beast of an effort. Good job, dude. All right. Coming up, virtual format. Starting this past Monday, the 14th, New York, New Jersey Trails Conference's 100-mile Trailathon. For anybody out there looking for a virtual event to support and for a little bit of their own motivation, this would be an excellent one. New York, New Jersey Trails Club does a ton of heavy lifting to create and maintain, in so many ways, the trail networks in New York and New Jersey, maybe even beyond that. I'm not sure. But it's pretty incredible. So check out the Entity New York, New Jersey Trails Conference just to support all together, but definitely check them out for this effort. And we're supporting it as well. We're donating a pair of shoes to the first to get to certain metrics in each one of the categories. So Trails Collective getting behind this effort as well. The 4th annual Mount Agamenticus Trails Challenge, also in the virtual category. It's a 1 mile and 5K in York, Maine. Virtual for 2020. The runs need to be completed between September 1st and the 30th. And they'll also have trail work days on the originally scheduled event date of September 19th this week, and an invasive species management day on October 10th. Also in virtual fashion, the Daikon Outdoor Adventure Challenge Virtual 5K in Mechanicsburg, PA. Looks like a pretty sweet adventure center that it's based at. Maybe fun for when we're back to a little bit of normal in 2021. But check it out for the virtual 5K. The virtual edition of the Nasty 9 Trail Run. They have 9 and 3 to 4 mile options in Brushy Hills in Lexington, Virginia. You can run the white streamered and marked course in the month of September and submit your times. Trails to Prevail 10K. Their virtual option the week of September 20th to the 26th. Move in any way you choose in terms of bike, run, walk, swim, and to celebrate the wellness trails and the power of community in Portland, Maine, and raising awareness and funds for the Portland trails in the greater Portland area. Patapsco Trail Fest, this is one that I was signed up for earlier in the year before they had to kick it back, and then, or actually cancel it rather, and then turn it into a virtual format. The running window is between September 18th and October 18th, so it's coming right up. So get on it if you want that virtual event in Maryland. And then in-person events coming up are on deck. This Saturday, September 19th, there's the 2nd annual Morgan Hill Meat Grinder put on by Salt City Sports in Morgan Hill State Park and Toggenburg Ski Resort in the Fabius Cortland area of New York. They're still hoping to run with their 2020 reduced COVID capped fields of 50 in the half marathon and 50 in the full. They are capped and set to go. Shout out to my ultra running shoes, that is, and Ultimate Direction rep John Rodarmal, being currently seated 2nd in the half field. Go get it, brother. For the full, a solid field up front with Jared Burdick, Jim Molosky, and Jason Elliott Mintz being on the men's card. I don't know what kind of fitness each of those guys are in. I would assume that the finish is going to go in that order. But really great runners, all 3 of them. So it would be exciting to see them potentially go at it out there together. So check it out at Ultra Sign Up. We'll plug the link in the notes. 4th annual Forgotten Forest Ultra. It's a 9-hour timed run in Stratford, Connecticut. They have 45 entrants. Registration is live through this Thursday. I guess that makes it the 17th on Ultra Sign Up. And plug the link. Firebird Trail Races, 5K, 13-mile, and 50K events in Windham, Maine, and with a course which uses the Cross Falmouth Trail from Windham to Falmouth. Entry format entails entrants making a donation to the nonprofit of their choice in addition to the race entry fee. And currently 1 registered in the 5K, so you should probably sign up now, and there are equal odds you will take the win this year. And then there's 24 in the half and 33 in the 50K currently. Sunday, September 20th, the TAM Treks beautiful 19-mile event to benefit the trail around Middlebury. And their annual maintenance costs. They also have a 10K and a 2-mile family fun run. I think the 2-mile family fun run has maybe closed down in registration, but the other 2 are open. Jump in this community event. It looks like a really runnable course via run sign up. Bishop's Events, one of the entities that's continued to put on events throughout this COVID situation. They put on the Gnarled Orchid Hard Cider Challenge, 5K, 10K, and half at the Valley View Farm, with proceeds benefiting the Friends of Sky Meadows. September 25th and 26th, also going to be a busy weekend looking down the line a bit. There's the Pemberton 24. It's a festival of 5Ks with a format of a 5K starting every hour, with participants able to run as many as they like, whether it be one 5K, 5, or whether it be all 24 of them. Camping included with registration, and team options in the mix as well. And we'll plug the link for the Pemberton 24. The Yeti 100-mile endurance run, gaining only, and this is one we had plugged earlier also when they pushed back, and just speaking to the Yeti culture and a film that was released earlier. I think there's a couple out there on the Yeti crew. Gaining only 3,000 feet while crossing 141 trestles along the Crushed Cinder Virginia Creeper Trail in Abington, Virginia. That's a lot of railroad trestles. It's a Western States qualifier with registration opening and capping as you'd expect with a Western States qualifier back in January. There's 338 entrants in the mix. And let's see, with a slogan of where debauchery is welcome and in the spirit of the entity, we're not going to tell you, I guess this would be one of the cases where I'm not going to focus on the top seeds or the leaders. We're going to tell you instead who's going to give, and I'm going to give praise here to the 3 entrants with the distinction of being the ultra sign-up ranked as DFL, or dead fucking last.
In front of the kid with the effing. All you gotta do is say earmuffs to him. Earmuffs. And they can say fuck.
For podium contenders, Miranda Riley, Tara Pagano, and Eva Jones. As I mentioned, seeing you all come through, if you end up finishing, if you end up indeed being the 3 DFL podium finishers, that's going to be incredible. Know that all of those around that finish line, the RDs, it's going to be, again, probably more meaningful to see you come across than the leaders. So hang in there, get it done, and good luck. Saturday, September 26th, the rugged, tough, remote, and beautiful World's End Ultras pushed back to this fall date for the 50K and 100K. This is an event that's been going. It's typically the same weekend of my Cayuga Trails races, so I've unfortunately never been able to run them, but aware of them being really just beautiful courses. Dave puts on a really well done, top-notch production, and so that is going to go down the Loyal Sox State Forest and World's End State Park. It is also a Western States qualifier, so I believe long capped with 280 entrants going in with. So long as PA stays off the New York State quarantine list, it's my plan to be out there volunteering at the Dry Run Aid Station for the duration of the event, mile 41 on the 100K course. So if you're a runner, I will see you there. If you want to join me in helping volunteer, reach out, and it would be, I could use your support. Sunday, September 27th, the Mid-Penn Trailblazers Dam Half Marathon Trail Race at RB Winter State Park in Mifflinburg, PA. It looks like a fun rolling course with a few rock gardens and a signature end of race 700-foot in a half-mile Stairway to Heaven climb. That's a pretty solid climb, taking you into 1.5 mile downhill stretch into the finish. Sounds flowy and fun. I'm not seeing any updates on the COVID or protocols, which makes me a bit uneasy. But the course looks good and sounds great, and it appears the event is still running and registration open at Run Sign Up. And then one here that I'll mention before closing out the rundown for this week is Solomon's Golden Trail Championships, going after those coveted golden tickets. It's going to be 76 of those golden tickets, 5 in the U.S., and with New England's being the 17-mile iconic presidential traverse, and a specific segment for it that they're terming the New England Golden Ticket segment. Look for it, and the top marks run between July 1st and October 1st. We'll get all expense paid trips to the Golden Trail World Championships in the Azores, if I'm pronouncing those right, islands, I believe, starting October 29th. That looks like it'd be a pretty spectacular trip. So I did reach out to Patrick Caron. He was the one Solomon athlete that got to select the New England course, or the one for this region. So if he gets it in time, I am going to plug it here to close out with, and he'll just give you the rundown on the event, why he chose that course, and as another voice from the collective. So maybe Patrick will take you out. Otherwise, I will check in with you next week. Ellie will post another TC interviews this week. I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but look out for it on Friday. And I will check in with you next week. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks again to all of you for the support so far. Thankful for any of you willing to, well, like these videos, share these videos, follow our channel. I hear from a lot more people that are watching it that are necessarily hitting that like button below. So please do so. And as we post it on Facebook, please share it in your networks. I can appreciate all the support we can get in building this. And for all of you out there who give me plugs or information as we go each week, I am grateful for you. And those who take the time to create a couple minutes to weigh in from the collective, I am grateful for you as well. So I will check you next week. Hope you have a great week and weekend ahead. All right, check you later. See ya.
Hi everyone, this is Patrick coming to you from Acadia National Park in Down East, Maine. I just wanted to fill you in on a pretty exciting opportunity for folks here on the East Coast. The Solomon Golden Trail Series, which has drawn many of the world's top athletes in recent years, has been changed around as a result of the pandemic, and now it's coming to a trail near you. As an athlete for Solomon, I was tasked with picking a golden ticket route for here in New England, which will be one of 76 golden tickets that give athletes a chance to win a trip to the Azores for the Golden Trail World Series next month. Thinking of some of our most iconic routes, I picked the Presidential Traverse, which covers some 17 miles and almost 9,000 feet of climbing in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. We've created a segment on Strava called the New England Golden Ticket, and the top male and female times between July 1st and October 1st will be the Golden Ticket winners, earning themselves a trip to the Azores. So, for all you speedsters out there, here's your shot. Time to get after it.